Want to learn how to sew, but you don't know what you really need? Stay tuned. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. My name is Viv and this is Stitches and Seams. And today I thought we'd just kind of go over what you really need to start sewing. I think you might be surprised. So I have a list and I have some things to show you, and let's just go ahead and get started. So the first thing that you need is a tape measure, and that is upside down. Let's try it one more again. There we go, a tape measure. And this is a flexible tape measure, and that's what you're gonna want. You don't wanna use like a carpentry tape measure because they are not flexible and they can cut your fingers actually. I've done that. So yeah, you just need a flexible tape measure, and I highly, highly, highly encourage you to get one that has both inches and centimeters, because at some point down the line, whatever measuring system you use, be it metric or imperial, you're gonna have your eye caught by another pattern and they might use a different measuring system. And so having a flexible tape measure that has both is quite handy. So that is first and foremost, let's use our words today. This is not necessary, but it is very useful. And it's something that you can work up to. It's not expensive. The fabric tape measure, actually, you can get those for around $1 in different places. Walmart, I know, is like $3 maybe. So if you want to shop around to get the most inexpensive, affordable, version, do that. The next thing is called a seam gauge or a seam guide. Now, this is a very simple tool, but it's handy. We use it for marking our seam allowances, 5/8 or 1.5 centimeters, or if you're using an indie pattern and it's like 3/8, then you can use that and mark that accordingly. Or if you're marking a hem that is like, 2 inches, you just move the slider to the corresponding measurement and mark away. This is handy at the ironing board and at the sewing machine, whereas the flexible tape measure, you can still use it in those places, and I do, but this is just more maneuverable and you don't have to worry about it falling off the desk. So next is pins. Now these are a myriad of pins. The long yellow ones are QUILTER'S pins. They're like 2 1/4 inches long. Other ones are, just a little bit different. You're not gonna be able to see that. But you have various types of pins and therefore various price points for pins. And these are just basic. I have other pins. I have pins for knit fabrics. I have pins for silk fabrics. But at the very start, you only need just plain old regular pins. And we will be linking these products or similar products in the description box below for you all. So that's your fabric pins. Excuse me. The next is fabric safe marking tools. Now, I've got a few examples here to show you just so you have an idea. So this is just a water soluble marker. It's called Mark Be Gone. And you can get these at Walmart or something comparable to Walmart, wherever you are at. And sewing shops, haberdashery stores, I'm sure, have things of this nature. You can also get them on Amazon. So these are water soluble. So what that means is mark on the fabric, and then if you just put a little bit of water on it, it will go away. However, you need to be very careful with these, because with a lot of them, if you iron that mark, it can become permanent. I've had it work both ways, where it has stained the fabric forever and I can't get it out, and other times where I've gotten it out just kind of like spot treating the fabric. So it depends on how you use it and if that's what you want to use. They also have ones that are disappearing ink. Now those kind of go by the humidity in the air. And in Texas, they do not work very well. So they'll disappear over time, but it has to do with the humidity in the air. And in Texas, because it is so humid, those things just disappear after like 5 minutes. So you're going to sew and you're like, I can't find my marks because it's disappeared. So use those ones also with caution. The next one I have is a typical quilter's pencil, and they come in various colors. This is silver. I also have white and yellow because I think it came in a 3-pack. But it's just a silver pencil, so you can use it for darker fabrics. It shows up pretty well, and it will wash out. The next one I have is probably my favorite for knit fabrics. I'll just be honest. This is a Clover CHACO pen, and it has basically what it is it's like chalk dust on the inside, and it has a little wheel here, and it dispenses the chalk for you. This is great for knit fabrics because, you know, when you go to mark on a knit fabric, it will kind of pull and stretch. That's the word because it's knit fabric. And it doesn't tend to want to be marked on very well. However, with this, you don't need a whole lot of pressure, and the wheel just turns and it just kind of lays down a line for you. However, you have to be careful with these types of pens because the chalk can come off, you know, before you're ready for it too. The top one, and kind of like the hot one right now, is what's called, let me make sure I can, there we go, the FRIXION pen. Okay, now that is FRIXION, and this is a clickable one. But this is, you can actually use it to write with, and then you can actually erase it. That's on paper, you can erase it with this little nib here. If you use it for fabric, you can heat erase it. So if you iron over it, the mark will disappear. However, again, as with everything, these can sometimes leave like a shadow behind. So if you erase it with the iron, sometimes you might be able to see like a faint hint. You don't see the color of the ink, but you see like kind of like how you write on a piece of paper and you dent, you know, it like leaves a furrow underneath, and on the sheet underneath of it, it's kind of like that. But it's not, depending on the fabric. So, I mean, if it's like super special fabric, you might not want to do that. You might want to use Tailor Tacks, which we can talk about in another video if you're interested. So those are just a few marking, fabric safe marking pens for you. There's also soap, like an old bar of soap, like small sliver. Perfect. Works, washes out, no problem. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is scissors. Now, there are a bazillion different types of scissors on the market. What you need is a pair of scissors that will cut. Brand new. These are run-of-the-mill FISKARS scissors. I picked these up at Walmart. I think they were 12 bucks. The thing is that you don't want to cut anything else with them. So these are not specifically fabric scissors. However, they work great on my fabric. I do not cut anything but fabric with them. So if I'm like cutting out a paper pattern, I don't use these. I have a specific pair of cheapo scissors that I use to cut all my paper out with. And these are specifically for fabric. And everyone in the house knows these are for fabric because if you use them, I'm coming for you. The next one, you know, over time, I have built up a few pairs of scissors because I have different ones for different needs. Like I have a pair of serrated ones for when I am cutting out quilting stuff. But these are a more expensive pair, and they are GINGHERs. Now these are, ooh, there we go. Try to hold that for you. These are GINGHERs. I got these at Joann with a coupon, and I think I ended up paying 25 bucks maybe for them. They're all metal. They are not super heavy, which is good because, you know, you get fatigue if you're cutting out by hand with scissors. When I'm cutting out fabric, I always have pairs of scissors with me. So there are those. Now the next ones I'm going to show you are not actually necessary, but they're very handy to have. If you don't get them right away, it will be a purchase that you would probably like to make soon after. And this is a non-expensive pair. They're FISKARS. And what these are they're called pinking shears. So if you can see, it looks like a sawtooth blade. Okay. And both of the blades are that way. There you go. You can see the other one. And what that does is you would trim your seam allowances with the pinking shears, and basically it creates a bias cut on those seam allowances, a whole bunch of little bias cuts, which tend to fray less. That doesn't mean that they won't fray, they'll just fray less. This is the easiest and least expensive way of seam finishing. Now, you don't have to have these. You can do French seams, you can do flat felled seams, you could do Hong Kong finish. So there are various other ways. However, it's worth having for some projects. And let's see, the next thing I have is a seam ripper. Now, I would love to tell you that you don't need this, but you need this. We all make mistakes. We all sew the wrong thing to the wrong thing. I can tell you that I have actually sewn a sleeve to the neck hole. Yep. But, you know, it's okay. Mistakes help you learn. You're supposed to make them. It's fine. This one actually is a double-ended one, and the other end is a needle threader. I don't know if you'll actually be able to pick that. There you go, maybe. There's a needle threader, but I don't actually use that. I just particularly like this one because it's so long. And so it's like a pin when I go to use it. And that kind of helps me cut down on hand fatigue, especially if you're seam ripping a whole side of a dress or a pair of pants or something, trousers. Your hands can get tired real quick. And so, yeah, I like this long one. It makes a big difference for me when I have to seam rip, because I have to seam rip still. And last but not least, I think you know that you need a sewing machine. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you need a $5,000 sewing machine, and I'm not going to tell you that you can't buy one from your neighbor or a garage sale. You can look around and you can find all kinds of things. I would highly encourage you to do some research. Read reviews. I know they're boring. Oh, they're so boring. They put me to sleep like golf puts me to sleep. But if you really want to invest in this hobby, then you'll take the time to read the reviews and find something that's going to work for you and have some longevity to it. Because the worst thing is buying something and you spent, you know, however much money on it, and a few months down the road, it's, you know, it's crapped out on you. It's broken. It's whatever. I've had that happen to me. I know other people have had it happen to them. So just take the extra time to research and read reviews. I personally am a huge fan of Baby Lock sewing machines, and I know that they have a starting machine for around about $100, and it makes some beautiful stitches. It works wonderfully. And there are other brands out there, you know, so investigate, do what is in your budget and has the best reviews. So if you only have a budget of $75 for a sewing machine, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Do some research, find a machine that will fit in that price point and get that one. Okay. Don't go into like hawk or debt trying to get a sewing machine that, if it turns out in 6 months that you don't really enjoy this hobby, you're going to be, you know, in the hole $2,000 or something for a machine that you're not going to use. So just kind of be smart. We're going to put all of the links in the description box below for you all. And yeah, that's it. That's really all you need. You do not have to spend oodles and oodles of money to see if you like this hobby. And if even better, if you can borrow a machine from your grandma, from your mom, from your aunt, from your uncle, you know, however, whatever works. If a neighbor has one and they're willing to loan it to you, try that. You will be immensely pleased by the few bucks that you save. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. We really appreciate it, and we hope to talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye.